Let's talk about longevity. So I could give you a really short version here. For all the things you read about longevity, these different supplements that people just so happen to sell that will somehow make you live forever. Mother Nature is undefeated. Ray Kurzweil says that we're approaching escape velocity, right? We're going to reach the point where science and medicine is going to be so good that we're all going to live forever. Mother Nature is undefeated. Certain researchers have supplements that they just so happen to sell. And of course, every other supplement on the market is garbage. If you were to buy an NMN supplement, they're all garbage, but the one that they make is the good one. It's the only one that you should take. All other resveratrol supplements are garbage. The one I happen to sell is the only good one. Just like all coffee contains mycotoxins, it's bad for you, but the one I happen to sell is good. Right? That's what we're told. Everyone else's coffee's trash. Buy mine. It's the only good one. Everyone else's overpriced niacin derivative is trash. Buy mine. Mother Nature is undefeated. I'm going to tell you something here about longevity, and this is something you want to think about for a minute. We have these people that live in blue zones, and we have these people that live to be 120, and they're not taking any of these supplements, and they're not buying overpriced supplements that are actually just niacin. They're not drinking special coffee. In fact, there was a woman, I think she was 120, and she said that her secret was smoking 1 cigarette a day and eating bacon. So we're all going to jump on that, right? Everyone should take up smoking, have 1 cigarette a day, have your breakfast and enjoy your cigarette, just like this woman did, and make sure you eat your bacon. I'm not sitting here telling you that you can't do things to extend your life. Obviously, there are things that would be beneficial to you, like, I don't know, not doing crack. Maybe, maybe even some lifestyle things, like maybe don't ride a motorcycle. Maybe don't play contact sports and get smashed in the head. Maybe don't take drugs in general. Maybe taking drugs is not a smart thing for us to do. Maybe don't drink excessively. That's certainly not good on your liver. My grandfather, one of my grandfathers, I would say I have two. My grandfather died of cirrhosis of the liver. He literally drank himself to death. The doctor told him you need to stop drinking, and he just kept drinking, and well, he died of cirrhosis of the liver. So you certainly can do things to shorten your life. But in terms of longevity and lengthening our lives, I really don't think that there's anything magical out there. And I'm going to mention Andy Galpin. I think he was on Ben Pakulski's podcast, and he made this comment about how people who take studies on yeast and worms and then try to extrapolate that to humans are basically frauds. They're charlatans. They're bullshit. We have plenty of research showing us that the results from mouse studies, murine studies, as you might refer to them, or studies on yeast, studies on these different worms, like they don't extrapolate to humans. They don't. If you fast a mouse for something like 12 hours, that would be like the equivalent of you fasting for some absurd amount of time, like 2 weeks. If a mouse doesn't eat for 24 hours, they lose a huge amount of their body weight. You don't, because you're not a mouse. You don't have the same metabolic rate. You don't have the same physiology. The same thing for yeast. Why would you think that something that works in yeast would work in you? It's like the whole resveratrol thing, right? People are like, well, resveratrol extends the lifespan of mice. It's like, yes, mice can also eat drywall and digest it. I don't suggest that you try that. Resveratrol is not very well absorbed in humans. So could there be a difference in mice and humans that if you give mice resveratrol, they can digest it and extract the nutrients from it that are beneficial, and maybe humans can't? Yeah, I would say that that's probably true. I can't think of the last time that I had drywall for dinner. You know, I'm not saying this to bash people because I actually think that they believe what they're saying. I do, actually. That's the big difference between someone who's a liar and someone who's simply wrong. I think a lot of people are simply wrong. I think they actually believe the things that they're saying. And in that case, you're not a liar. You're not even a fraud. If I told you, let's just pick something controversial. Um, I believe that BCAAs are better than whey protein. Okay, I don't actually believe that, but we're just going to use that as the hypothetical here. And so I spend all my time promoting BCAAs. I tell everyone, oh, skip the whey protein, just use BCAAs. Get some Scivation Extend. Use that instead of whey protein. If I truly believe that, I'm not a liar. I'm not a fraud. I'm just simply wrong. If I know better and I'm selling you something, now I'm a liar. Now I'm a fraud, right? So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you that all of the coffee is bad, but mine is good. And if I truly believe that, like I said, I'm simply wrong. But if I know that other coffees don't have mycotoxins in them, and I'm sitting there telling everyone, oh yes, all other coffees have mycotoxins, buy mine, that would make me a liar. Similarly, if I sat here and told you, buy my overpriced niacin supplement, my B3 supplement, right? And I know that I could just be giving people cheap niacin and getting the same result, then I would be a liar. But if I really believed that this version of B3 is somehow superior to all other versions of B3, and also similarly, I think that mine is better than any other person's, any other product, right? Any other person's product, then I'm not a liar. I'm just simply wrong. Okay? And so I don't want to just call people out and say that they're liars or that they're frauds, but they should know better. Like, they should know that there's research out there showing that things that work in yeast don't work in humans. They should know better that things that work in mice don't work in humans. It's like the studies on cancer. There's multiple studies now on glioblastoma in mice models. And I'm not going to criticize those researchers because those researchers are probably not even aware of the fact that glioblastoma is not a metastatic cancer. So they look at their mouse model and they take a metastatic form of glioblastoma and they implant it underneath the skin, and then, oh, look, the ketogenic diet worked in this situation. But in brain cancer, primary glioblastoma is not metastatic. So the model does not match what we see in humans. And I'm not saying that to be critical of the researchers. By all means, like, it's a very good proof of concept study, if you will, right? But it has no application to humans. It doesn't occur in humans that way. What we see actually occurring in patients is very different than what you have in a lab model. And that's something that I think a lot of people need to pay attention to. It's like, hey, this model that we have of cancer, right, this particular cell line, when we put it into mice, it responds to treatment X. The trouble is that in humans don't have that same cell line because humans aren't mice. And then it doesn't respond the same way. This is incredibly disappointing to me. I can't tell you how many times that I thought I had the cure to cancer. I've cured cancer more times than I can count because everything works in a petri dish. So when I've worked in various labs and I've done various things, I have been very, very successful in curing cancer. Look, I did this thing and it killed the cancer cells in a petri dish. I've yet to cure cancer in a human. I don't have any idea what would cure cancer in a human, but I can kill cancer cells in a petri dish. I'm very good at it. Now, I can turn this around and tell you in the opposite direction. I could also cure cancer and I'll put that in air quotes, in a petri dish just by accidentally spilling some bleach into it. That doesn't work very well. In fact, actually, if I just fuck things up and I don't incubate the petri dish properly, and I just, I'm not very careful with what I'm doing, I might accidentally kill the cancer cells that way too. Because things die in a petri dish pretty easily. They don't die in a human very easily. It's very hard to target cancer cells and kill them in a human because the cell line is very different. Things are very, very different in real-world application. It's the whole difference of in vivo versus in vitro. And so all this longevity research is really quite interesting, and at the very least it's proof of concept, right? Caloric restriction in monkeys. Caloric restriction in mice, caloric restriction of yeast. But it doesn't work in humans. It just doesn't. And like I said, I don't want to accuse people of lying or being frauds because maybe they really do believe it. Maybe they aren't aware of the fact that there's studies out there showing that this doesn't work. Maybe they're not aware that you can't extrapolate that data. I don't know. I can't speak for them. I don't propose that. How should I phrase this? I'm not attempting to speak for them, and nor am I defending them, and nor am I attacking them. I'm just putting the possibility out there that maybe they don't even know, which isn't really a very good defense either. So, basically, either you're dishonest because you do know better and you're saying it, or you're incompetent because you don't know better. Both of those sound pretty bad. So either you're lying or you're ignorant. Neither of those reflects very well on someone, but, we all make mistakes. I've been wrong about many things, and certainly it's due to my own incompetence and ignorance that I was wrong about those things. So, that's fine. Hey, look at some of the research coming out now. I think, Alan Aragon and Brad Schoenfeld just came out with a paper recently talking about how protein timing matters, right? Oh, you have to have 4 meals a day and you have to spread it out, and oh shit. I guess it's not just calories in, calories out anymore if you have to actually spread it out and time it. If you have to break it up into multiple meals and spread it out across the day, it isn't just calories in, calories out, because if it was just calories in, calories out, you would eat 1 meal and it wouldn't make a difference. Timing it and spreading it out makes a difference. So, suddenly things get more complicated, right? And that's totally fine. I'm not, bashing anyone for... Actually, I compliment people for changing their mind about things. So I'm definitely not bashing anyone for changing their mind. As I always say about myself, I reserve the right to change my mind when provided with evidence. Because I don't have beliefs. Beliefs are things that people hold on to, no matter what. If you show me evidence, and that evidence is convincing, I will readily change my opinion. It's like when I read the Cochrane Reviews, and I'm like, hey, they did a analysis and looked at 55 different studies and said, hey, this shit doesn't work. Okay, yep, when you look across a whole bunch of studies and you say, never fall for the trick where you read just one study, because I can find just one study saying anything in either direction. You have to look at all of the research. When you look at all of the research, then you have to sit there and you have to say, okay, this is what the current evidence would suggest. But tell you what, if someone comes out with an amazing study, even if it's just one study, but it's extremely well designed, that could be enough evidence that you change your mind. And everyone is free to change their mind when presented with evidence. Okay? We used to tell people that they were crazy for thinking that you should wash your hands. Doctors used to work on cadavers and stuff and then go deliver a baby. And they didn't believe in washing your hands. And then it turns out, oh shit, you should wash your hands. Doctors used to believe that stress caused ulcers, and now it turns out that it's H. pylori bacteria. Good. Good on you for changing your mind. I want to commend that. I want to compliment people who change their mind when presented with evidence. Because otherwise, things don't move forward. I can't remember who said it. There's some quote about there that science moves forward with one death at a time. And it's because we have these researchers who are extremely prolific and they're well known and they're respected. And no one wants to challenge what they said. So science only moves forward when that person dies. And then suddenly we go, oh, well, it turns out that guy was wrong. By the way, this is what's actually true. Well, fuck that. I would rather see that person change their mind now and say, you know what, I spent 40 years studying this thing, and it turns out I was wrong. I have to respect you. I have to respect you. What could be more respectable than a person who stops and says, you know what? I was wrong. I would like to change my stance on that topic. What could be better than people who are open-minded and constantly evolving and constantly progressing? So I'm open to changing my mind on this whole longevity thing. Maybe someone really does find some trick. Oh, we're going to suppress mTOR and increase AMPK, and somehow you're going to live forever. Maybe we will reach, this escape velocity that Kurzweil speaks of. But at this point in time, Mother Nature is undefeated. And, if Floyd Mayweather was getting into the ring with somebody, I would put my money on Floyd Mayweather for winning because he's undefeated. Just going with the flow here, Joe. This is what should I call it? I'm just going to stick with what has consistently turned out. So far, Mother Nature is undefeated. So odds of someone being able to win against Mother Nature, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to put my money on Mother Nature. We're all going to die. That isn't to say that the underdog, could come into this and win this fight. But so far, yeah, Father Time and Mother Nature, undefeated. I don't think we're going to figure that out. And actually, I don't know that we want to. But that's a different discussion. But if you think about it for a second, just getting a little philosophical on you, if you didn't have an end date, if you didn't have the threat of death, if you didn't know that this life would be over at some point, would you be motivated to do anything? Because you could always say tomorrow. You could say tomorrow forever. I feel like we'd become very lazy. Death motivates me because I know that my time here is very, very limited. And so I try to do things that will outlive me. I want to leave something behind. I did a video about my father that I've never posted. Maybe I'll post it eventually. But he impacted a lot of people's lives. And that will live much longer. That will live far, far longer. We have such a limited amount of time on this earth. And that is the reason why we hurry up and get things done. Because you don't have tomorrow. But if you had an unlimited number of tomorrows, well, how motivated would you be to do things today? That's a philosophical point for you guys. So, scientifically, I just don't buy any of this longevity stuff. I don't think you can take shit that's going to make you live significantly longer. Yeah, just haven't seen anything that's convincing. So, that's where I stand. Where do you stand? Comment below. Do you think we're going to live forever? Maybe we'll just upload our brains. We'll upload our consciousness into the metaverse or the Neuralink or whatever the hell it is that they're pushing these days. We can all just get chips put in our brains. And then you can just live forever. Your consciousness will live forever. But as far as I'm concerned, there is no you without your body. So, like I said, another philosophical point. But I really don't think I would want to live as just a consciousness with no body. Maybe you would. Comment below. Maybe you would. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm in the minority here. Maybe most people would be happy to just exist as a computer. I wouldn't, but that doesn't mean that you're wrong if you do. It's just a matter of preference. Maybe some people like to eat chicken. Some people like to eat steak. I happen to be in the camp that would rather not be a computer. So, you watched like 20 minutes of this. Like the video if you like this kind of stuff. Comment below if you have an opinion. I'm open to hearing counter arguments. I certainly will change my mind if someone can give me a really great, piece of evidence that suggests that we will live forever. And subscribe if you guys like this kind of content.